Hello, my badass boys and badass babes. Guess who's back? Your favorite daughter of Nick's, Virgo the Vixen. And before we start today's little life lessons, make sure you hit your likes and subscribe buttons down below. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about blind dating, okay? Now, for some of you out there, you're kind of asking yourself, Vixen, what is a blind date? And for the record, if you've never experienced this, you are one of the luckiest individuals on the planet, and God bless you. For all of those of you, like myself, who have suffered this tragic fate, it is one of the horrendous things that could ever happen to a person. Now, for the record, let's start with the explanation of what a blind date is. Okay, a blind date is when your friends or your family offer you up as tribute and or a sacrifice to another person. I'm not joking. That's almost literally the truth, okay? The more, how can we say, polite term, they try to find you somebody because they think you're lonely and that you're desperate for whatever they're going to throw at you. That's just another way of saying it, but I like my way better. All right, so your family or your friends will try to convince you that person X over here is a great match, okay? And they will say things, and this, if they ever say things like this, run. You know, they're perfect for you. That's the biggest red flag. If they say those words, well, they're perfect for you. Run! I'm not talking metaphorically. I am talking physically. Get the hell away from this individual as fast as you can. Because I guarantee you, at least 8 to 9 times out of 10, your blind date is going to go in disaster mode real fast. And I'll tell you a story about one of my disaster modes later on. Okay, I'll spare you until the end because I'm kind of a diva, so we're going to have to go that route. Anyways, so if they talk about how great this person is, that's one thing. If they talk about how perfect they are, get out. Trust me. Blind dates are not the way to go because your friends or your family don't know exactly what you want. You don't exactly put out there, you want X, Y, and Z off, the menu. And those who your friends who do know you, okay. If you're a good friend with a person and you know they've been having a dry spell, don't set them up on a blind date, okay? I'm just saying it has ended it didn't end a friendship, but nearly did, okay? And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But anyways, what blind dates are, like I said, people offering you up as tribute and or sacrifice, okay? And why do blind dates can go horribly wrong? Because they're blind dates. You don't know anything about this person. They don't know anything about you. And you're just taking a shot in the dark. And you're just trying to feel around and maybe hope to God you don't stab a fork in someone's, let's just say hand. I'll just go with that during the date. Okay, there might have been a court case where I may have done that. Just saying, it was an accident. He didn't move his hand fast enough. He shouldn't have grabbed my thigh like that. But needless to say, if he didn't put his hand on the table, the fork would not have gone through it. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, I'm going to tell you, this brings up such bad memories. Okay, one of my, let's just say, less than stellar dates, okay, and was a blind date. All right, I had a friend. And I still talk to her mostly every now and then. But she was bragging about her brother, okay? How he's a great guy. He's lonely. She didn't put the term lonely. She said he was an animal lover. He was a great guy. And he was loving and he was caring. And if you were to listen to that laundry list of qualities, that should be a red flag, because why the hell isn't this guy already taken? If he's loving, he's caring, he's an animal giver, you would think logically that this person would have no problem finding a date, and more importantly, no problem finding a spouse if they want one. So how is this great piece of prime rib still out on the market, you ask? Well, I come to find out why. Here's what happened. I go to the dinner. And guess what? They were checking off all the boxes: intelligent, smart, funny, great looking, packing down below. Not saying that's a priority on the checklist, but hey, that's just one of the bonus features at this point. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe my friend actually set me up with somebody good. Maybe this is the one or two times where if this falls into that category, well, this wasn't such a bad idea. Then we go to his house, okay? And, things are kind of progressing. I'm feeling the vibe. He's feeling the vibe. So he asked me to get the champagne out of the freezer. And I'm just going to pull the little eek. This is where the part goes to from normal kind of romantic music to okay. Here's what happened. I go to his freezer. I look inside. And there is a frozen dead cat in the freezer. I kid you not. Let me put it to you this way. I didn't bother hanging around. I got out of there and I filed a restraining order the next day. And here my friend is yelling at me going, "What happened? You just left him at home." I had to calmly explain. And what I mean by calmly explain is I sat her down and I ripped her a new a-hole because she set me up with a psycho. I've seen this movie. I've seen how it starts. I've seen how it ends. I am not going to become missing victim number 3 or 5 or whatever and be found, I don't know how many years later, in this guy's freezer. No, thank you. Like I said, I've seen this horror movie. I am not hanging around. And I let her know what he does. He has a dead frozen cat in her freezer. And she goes, "Well, that's where I guess that's why I haven't seen Mr. Snuggles around." I go, "You think?" I don't know why he felt the need to put a dead frozen cat in his freezer, but for whatever reason, ladies, you find out the person you're interested in has a frozen dead animal that, you're not going to cook up and eat later. You might want to take that as the biggest red flag that you can possibly think of. Just throwing that out there. Another red flag is if they're still living with their family. Yes, I understand times are tough economically, and sometimes you have to move in with your family. Okay, that's fine. But if the person says, "Hey, I have a great job, I'm making lots of money," and still lives with his family, bigger red flag. Get away. So, if you're going to go on a date, I'm going to give you a few survival tips. Number 1, always have a way to get out of the date. Okay? Whether you have your friend call you, you text a friend saying, "Hey, give me a call," pretend you're at work. Have some sort of way to get out of the blind date. So this way, you live. I don't know what other way to put it. I mean, you don't want to become a missing number, just throwing that out there. So have a way to always get out of the blind date. Number 2, if you do decide on becoming tribute and or a sacrifice, look good, all right? You never know. There could be that off chance that you may actually make a positive impression where they make a positive impression and things could go well, or at least in a positive direction to where you have a second date. I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm just saying if it does happen, great. If it's not, well, you're going to have more horror stories like me. And I guess third, probably the more important thing is, let me see, you look good, you got a way out. Make sure you have enough money to pay for the date. Even if this is another horror story, I'm going to cover this one in just a moment. Even if you go on a blind date, make sure you have enough money to pay for the meal on wherever it is you're going to go. Because I kid you not, I'm going to give you one more example of a blind date that was set up by one of my cousins. And she claims that her coworker was a great guy. He was a great catch. Okay, first of all, any guy who takes his date, all right, and says, hey, he has a great job. Okay, I understand that not, you're going on a date, you're kind of limited based off your budget. That's not a problem. But if you're earning buco bucks, the big bucks, maybe like 50,000 more, depending on where you're at. Let's just say 50,000's high end for where you're at. Okay, I want everyone to take note of this. If you're making good money and you're out on a date, do not take your date to the local fast food restaurant and order off the value meal, okay? That's what happened to me once. This guy, who my cousin set me up with, said he was a great catch, all this, made money, took me to one of the local fast food restaurants and decide, you know what, we're going to order off the value meal. Wow, okay. I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're making, like I said, if you're on an economy budget and you're trying to somewhat make a decent impression, I understand, ordering off the value meal. But if you're actually earning some bank, you got a few bucks in your pocket, and you force me to order off the value meal, don't be surprised if you find the tires on your car have a little bit less air in them than when you started. Just saying, accidents happen. I know nothing about his tires being slashed accidentally. Just saying, accidents happen. But anyways, my badass boys and badass babes, next time your friends or family say they're going to offer you up as a sacrifice or a tribute, you might want to stop and think about saying no before you say yes. Anyways, my badass boys and badass babes, who's your vixen and bye-bye.